まあ、近所が助けに来てくれるって、そんな行動をね、普段からこう訓練を受け取ったから、もう誰か助けに来てくれる、
来てくれるはずと思ってる、どこでも誰でも。
爆弾が落ちて、うちだけ爆弾が落ちて爆破されない、太陽が異常に接近してきたもんだばっかり思って、そしてこうまた離れていったかな、そうすると考えられる。
People are often surprised to learn that prisoners of war were killed by the atomic bombs. My name is David Dionisi, and the reason why U.S. prisoners of war were killed by the atomic bombs is a carefully guarded secret. This documentary is based on the book Atomic Bomb Secrets and explains the reasons why. An early version of this documentary was shown on March 22, 2014 at the 26 Martyrs Museum in Nagasaki, Japan. The director of that museum, Reverend Renzo DeLuca, wrote, "I encourage these works as they help everyone to clarify many important facts that we need to know in order to make a healthy and courageous judgment about history and mankind." This real-world story begins with a few questions. Did you know that in addition to U.S. prisoners of war, over 30,000 enslaved Koreans were killed by the atomic bombs? Did you know that in 1945, Nagasaki was the center of Christianity in Japan and had been for over 5 centuries? Did you know that a secret society known as the Brotherhood of Death had infiltrated the key positions, developing and ultimately deciding to use the atomic bomb? Well, if you don't know this information, you're like many people. And the reason why is people for decades have been led from the truth. Atomic Bomb Secrets is offered with the hope that revealing the truth will help prevent nuclear weapons from being used again and a third world war from occurring. Members of a secret group, known as the Brotherhood of Death, created a plan to start 3 world wars. The first in 1914, a second in 1939, and a third to happen many years later. If you open your mind even 1% to the possibility that a powerful one world government organization exists, this documentary can change your understanding of the world that you live in. The Brotherhood of Death is an organization operating secretly to rule the world. The book, Defeating the Brotherhood of Death, explains their plan for 3 world wars, which has been confirmed by former Freemasons and other credible people, including Cardinal Rodriguez of Chile. Secret societies have existed for thousands of years. One of the world's oldest and largest secret societies is Freemasonry. The great secret of Freemasonry is it continues the Egyptian mystery religion and seeks to destroy the Catholic Church. This true story of what happened on August 6th and August 9th, 1945, begins with a top-secret meeting on September 13th, 1942, which took place roughly 75 miles north of San Francisco. The meeting place, known as the Bohemian Grove, is a woodland hideaway owned by the Brotherhood of Death Front called the Bohemian Club. The Bohemian Club serves to provide an exclusive location where multiple Brotherhood of Death secret societies can meet and participate in bizarre occult ceremonies. A key ritual sacrifice, known to participants as the cremation of care, occurs annually in July. The Bohemian Grove has been the epicenter for many meetings held by high-ranking Brotherhood of Death agents. Foremost among the attendees of the September 1942 meeting were the members of the S1 Executive Committee, led by an agent of the Brotherhood named Vannevar Bush. These men were the scientific leadership for the Manhattan Project, who would go on to develop the 2 atomic bombs used on Japan. Although it would seem that the S1 committee were the ones responsible for the bombs, there was a much more powerful but unseen group that controlled them. One of the top men in this group was Bernard Baruch. Since the early 1930s, members of the Brotherhood of Death had been meeting at the Bohemian Grove to make their plans to start a Second World War. In control of these men was Baruch, who at the time was a top-level Brotherhood agent in the United States. Among his early assignments, Baruch had helped maneuver the U.S. into joining the First World War and was put in charge of the War Industries Board in 1918. In 1919, Baruch served as a key participant at the Paris Peace Conference and advocated for the creation of the League of Nations. Baruch was responsible for helping many people reach top military and civilian government positions. President Eisenhower said, "As a young and unknown major, I took the wisest step in my life. I consulted Mr. Baruch." By the early 1940s, with the Second World War now underway, Baruch and other secret society members, loyal to the Brotherhood but performing their daily roles as important political figures, had started to fine-tune their plan for the use of the atomic bomb. Bernard Baruch played a behind-the-scenes role in ensuring agents serving the Brotherhood were in key atomic bomb targeting-related positions.
Day you called, the sun was big and low to the ground. The cold, it froze my fingers tight.
Unknown to most people in the United States and the Western world in general is the fact that in 1945, Nagasaki was the center of Christianity in Japan. Historian William Craig wrote, "Nagasaki was the center of Catholicism in Japan. Our Lady of the Conception was the largest Roman Catholic cathedral in the Far East." The cathedral that had been built by local parishioners was essentially a memorial to the quest for religious freedom started by the converts to the teachings of St. Francis Xavier. Jesuit missionary St. Francis Xavier arrived from Spain in 1549 with hopes of bringing Christianity to Japan. For over a decade, the new religion thrived, so much so that by 1580, Nagasaki had become known as Little Rome, and the area surrounding the cathedral had been named the Japanese Vatican. Also noteworthy in this same general time frame, Nagasaki was the location of the largest printing press in the world. In 1596, the Spanish ship San Felipe was wrecked off the coast of Shikoku, and Hideyoshi learned from its pilot that the Spanish Franciscans were the vanguard of an alleged foreign invasion of Japan. In response, Hideyoshi ordered the crucifixion of 26 Catholics in Nagasaki on February of that year. These men would later become known as the 26 Martyrs. Despite severe earlier persecution, by the late 19th century, several branches of Christianity were thriving. By 1873, Christianity had become so popular that all signs banning the religion were removed and the Gregorian calendar was adopted. Japan became known as a land of religious freedom. The Japanese people would now also measure time from the birth of Christ, instead of just from the ascension of the new emperor. For the Brotherhood of Death, the growing number of Christians in the area made Nagasaki a target. By the time the atomic bomb was developed, Nagasaki had approximately 50,000 Christians in the immediate area. Brotherhood of Death agents infiltrated the United States government and secured every key position needed for the selection and execution of Christianity in Nagasaki. The Brotherhood of Death, being intimately involved in every aspect of the atomic bomb program, wanted more than just the defeat of Japan. Serving in the more elite Skull and Bones as a Brotherhood of Death bonesman was Secretary of War Henry Stimson. Stimson served Bernard Baruch, who himself was subordinate to the High Council of the Brotherhood of Death. With a lockhold on the key atomic bomb targeting leadership positions, the Brotherhood of Death killed more Japanese Christians in a few seconds than the persecutors of the faith were able to do in the last 500 years. To camouflage the anti-Christian purpose of the atomic bomb, agents of the Brotherhood orchestrated events that would serve the post-bombing propaganda campaign. One such example is arranging for a Catholic priest and a Protestant minister to bless the bombing missions. Pilot Charles Sweeney wrote that Captain Bill Downey, a Lutheran minister, said, "I bless the men and their airplanes that fly off to kill and be killed. I condone their actions by my blessings." For the Brotherhood of Death, this was important for multiple reasons. In their belief system, human sacrifice is required to generate power. A human sacrifice of the magnitude yielded by the atomic bombs needed to be carefully concealed. It was therefore necessary to convince religious leaders not to publicly oppose the use of the bomb. Hiding human sacrifices and other acts of evil in plain sight is an important part of the Brotherhood of Death religion. For the Brotherhood of Death, the atomic bomb was needed to prevent Christianity from dominating the void that would appear the moment Emperor Hirohito was no longer acknowledged as divine.
Time was still and I was lost from sight for a while. The call is new to turn me loose.
Brotherhood of Death member Henry Louis Stimson confirmed he selected Nagasaki to be ground zero for the only version of the atomic bomb previously proven to work. He said, quote, "This is a question I am settling myself," end quote. While it may be hard to initially understand why a Christian cathedral in a city that, according to U.S. Admiral William D. Leahy, was of no material assistance in the war against Japan, would be targeted for an atomic bomb attack, when the true motives of the Brotherhood of Death are revealed, it quickly becomes apparent. General Dwight Eisenhower went on record communicating, quote, "Japan was at that very moment seeking some way to surrender with minimal loss of face. It wasn't necessary to hit them with that awful thing," end quote. Secretary of War Henry Stimson acknowledged in his 1947 memoir, On Active Service in Peace and War, that the Japanese cabinet was prepared as early as the spring of 1945 to accept substantially the same terms as those finally agreed on. Stimson wrote that history might find that the United States, by its delay in stating its position, had prolonged the war. Major Charles Sweeney participated in both the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombing runs. Sweeney did not need to know that Nagasaki was the primary target or that atomic bombs would be used to guide Japan into the clutches of a 21st century one-world government. Men like Sweeney were replaceable, as many would follow orders without question, and is often still the case for combat troops, would do so without understanding the origin and ultimate purpose of their mission. Major Sweeney wrote that Hiroshima was targeted because it was the location of major armament factories and the headquarters for the Second Japanese Army, which would mount the defense against any invasion. Sweeney disclosed Niigata would have been a logical primary target because it was the location of industries vital to Japan's ability to remain at war. Sweeney noted Kyoto, another high-value military target, was removed from the list by Secretary of War Henry Stimson. Stimson was initiated into the Skull and Bones Secret Society and graduated from Yale in 1888. In 1945, he was a key leader in the Brotherhood of Death. with multiple targets of far greater military significance than Nagasaki taken off the list. Nagasaki, the Japanese Christian Vatican, was added for the Brotherhood of Death by Stimson. The official targeting explanation for the Hiroshima bombing is that the city of Kokura was the secondary target on August 6, 1945, in the event Hiroshima could not be accurately targeted. And since Hiroshima was destroyed, the official story to this day is that Kokura became the primary target for the second atomic bomb. This cover story was successfully sold for years, with the US government maintaining that the second bomb, called Fat Man, detonated above Nagasaki because of unsuitable weather conditions at Kokura. The truth is that the visibility at Kokura was confirmed as good by the crew of the weather planes that flew ahead of the aircraft carrying the Fat Man atomic bomb. To prevent the world from seeing the hidden hand of the Brotherhood of Death, the official story attempted to deceive people by claiming Kokura could not be bombed due to clouds covering the area, even suggesting that pollution and smoke from a neighboring city, Yahata, would save Kokura. The real story, however, is much more complex. What follows is a step-by-step account of the events that led to that fateful day in 1945, a true timeline of terror.
It's hard to shatter to the ground.
On July 16, 1945, in the Jornada del Muerto desert in New Mexico, the first atomic bomb was detonated. Witnessing this event were members of the Manhattan Project, the Los Alamos director Robert Oppenheimer, test director Kenneth Bainbridge, and many other top-level scientists and military personnel. Also present was a mysteriously appointed member of the press working for the New York Times, a man named William Lawrence. William Lawrence, originally a Lithuanian named Leb Wolf Su, was a Brotherhood of Death insider who had been placed at the New York Times by General Leslie Groves, himself instructed to do so by Bernard Baruch. Successfully operating as an agent of disinformation, Lawrence would go on to write many propaganda pieces, earning him the nickname of Atomic Bill. His major cover-up first began with a press release about the Trinity shot, a blasphemous name for the test explosion, because the Holy Trinity is a phrase known by Christians to describe the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, or in essence, the power of all life. To name a bomb with the power to destroy everything that God created, Trinity, was definitely an insult meant to offend. The first atomic bomb, a plutonium bomb, detonated at 5 hours and 29 minutes local time. The device had an energy equivalent of approximately 20 kilotons of TNT and left a bomb crater of radioactive glass in the desert 10 feet deep and 1,100 feet wide. At the time of detonation, the surrounding mountains were said to be illuminated brighter than daytime for 1 to 2 seconds, and the heat at the base camp was reported as being as hot as an oven. The roar of the shock wave was felt as far as 100 miles away. The mushroom cloud reached 7.5 miles in height. After having witnessed the Trinity shot, Los Alamos director J. Robert Oppenheimer later said that, while watching the test, he was reminded of a line from the Bhagavad Gita, a Hindu scripture.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
It was strange that Lawrence, being a foreign national who would normally be denied even a secret security clearance, would in a few weeks be the only civilian authorized to participate in the Hiroshima and Nagasaki atomic bombing runs. While Lawrence was approved to be on the observer plane that accompanied the B-29 sent to bomb Hiroshima, he claimed he arrived late for the flight and could only watch the bomber depart. As a civilian, Lawrence was not court-martialed or punished. Even so, why would Lawrence, as a reporter, miss the Hiroshima flight, which was the only historical chance to witness the very first use of nuclear weaponry? Why would only Lawrence, a civilian, even be invited to participate to witness extremely sensitive atomic bombing missions? Every person on the atomic bomb mission served a very special purpose. For the Brotherhood of Death, Lawrence's secret Nagasaki mission was too important to risk by having him participate in the diversionary but still lethal Hiroshima bombing. That is to say, by missing the Hiroshima flight, Lawrence was positioned to deliver secret orders from Secretary of War Henry Stimson, who himself was secretly working for the Brotherhood of Death to make Nagasaki the primary target. The Brotherhood of Death agents are very clever, and its leaders at the time understood the marketing principle called the law of leadership. This marketing principle states that people remember the first event in a new category and pay less attention to the second event in a new category. If asked who was the first person to fly from New York to Paris solo, many people can correctly answer the question with Charles Lindbergh. But if asked what was the name of the second person to fly the Atlantic Ocean solo, few people would know the answer. Understanding this principle is critical for understanding why Hiroshima, by being first, was actually a diversionary target. Then you can also understand how important Lawrence's secret Nagasaki mission was. Major Charles Sweeney and almost everyone else on the bombing runs were to never know the special purpose Lawrence was to serve. Only the senior military person responsible for dropping the bomb, Commander Ashworth, would need access to top-secret, eyes-only orders from Secretary of War Stimson. Along with Lawrence's secret mission, top-secret, eyes-only destroy-on-receipt orders do not survive to become part of the historical record. While the paper trail documenting secret operations is routinely thin, it is clearly established that someone secretly changed the Nagasaki target map at the last minute. The proof is the simple fact that the center of Christianity became ground zero for the bomb instead of Mitsubishi's military shipyard. The Nagasaki atomic bomb was never intended to be used to destroy military targets. It was meant to hit at the heart of the Christian religion in Japan. Despite receiving a Kokura clear skies and good mission weather message, Sweeney and team circled the general area 3 times as Ashworth refused to violate orders and used radar to drop the Fat Man atomic bomb. Ashworth then told Major Sweeney they were going to make one run on Nagasaki. Bizarrely, in contradiction to his previous actions, Ashworth then ordered Sweeney and the bombardier to be prepared to use radar. As Commander Ashworth was the senior military officer on the mission, Major Sweeney and the bombardier obeyed Ashworth, even though the new instructions contradicted extremely clear orders prohibiting dropping an atomic bomb without a distinct visual target sighted. Nagasaki was obscured by 80 to 90% cumulus clouds at 6,000 to 8,000 feet. The Nagasaki radar targeting further highlights that Ashworth behaved as if he had received eyes-only secret orders authorizing radar use. The B-29, known as Box Car, opened the bomb doors, and at the last moment, Bombardier Kermit Behan announced that he could see a hole in the clouds. Behan then said, "I've got it, and released the bomb at 11:01 a.m. At 11:02, when Fat Man detonated, much of the city was destroyed in less than a second, and an estimated 73,884 people were killed. Among the first victims were prisoners of war, Japanese Christians, and over 10,000 Koreans. The detonation over the Catholic Cathedral immediately became the smoking gun, showing future investigators of this war crime that something was obviously wrong with the official version of events. Prisoners of war held at Nagasaki camps, already struggling to survive in appalling conditions, were burned alive. The Fukuoka prisoner of war camp number 14 is located close to the epicenter. This sign marks the spot of where the Allied prisoners of war were kept. The significant message of this sign is that a conventional aerial bombardment took place here at this prisoner of war camp on August 1st, 1945. This is important because General Hap Arnold was ordered to keep all of the atomic bomb target sites free from conventional bombing runs. This was done so that scientific experiments could be conducted after the atomic bomb had been detonated. So for us to find that Nagasaki was attacked with a conventional aerial bombardment and the area attacked was the area of the prison camp just days before the atomic bomb, it is very significant because it tells a story that the prisoners were being bombed and those that survived were ordered to clean up debris, and many of those that were cleaning debris became atomic bomb victims. What we find here is clear evidence that Nagasaki was not supposed to be an atomic bomb site, but in secret was indeed planned in advance to be a site for the only version of the atomic bomb that had been proven to previously work. That sign, which was very embarrassing to the US government and generally unknown by people, has now been removed. Was it removed because Atomic Bomb Secrets was published, which is what I propose? Since 1945, evidence continues to disappear. In 1945, the Tateyama Atomic Bomb Shelter is built in Nagasaki to protect members of the ruling elite. Prefectural Governor Wakamatsu Nagano convened a special meeting on August 9, 1945 to discuss an atomic bomb attack on Nagasaki when at 11:02 a.m. the atomic bomb detonated. Governor Nagano and the other people in the shelter are kept safe. The shelter design is similar to secret atomic bomb shelters constructed for Stalin. According to the Nagasaki Atomic Bomb Museum's Hitomi Shirashi, the official records for the Tateyama air raid shelter have disappeared. A mysterious fire at Nagasaki City Hall destroys photographic atomic bomb evidence of Urakami's cathedral taken soon after the atomic bomb detonated. Large sums of money mysteriously appear in the 1950s to rebuild Urakami Cathedral on the condition the ruins are not preserved. In 1955, Nagasaki's mayor, Tatsumo Tagawa, reverses his long-standing position and calls for the Urakami Cathedral ruins to be removed. Hikamatsu Tsunuki, a former Nagasaki city official, said the preservation of the ruins would have caused some problem to the United States. Following the 2013 and 2014 presentations of information in this documentary to officials at the Hiroshima and Nagasaki Atomic Bomb Museum, additional evidence started disappearing. The Hiroshima Atomic Bomb Museum East building was closed in 2014. Amazingly, even for the major 70th anniversary of the atomic bomb, evidence shown in this documentary was concealed from the public. Historians both here in Japan and in the United States have never explained how the pilot and crew could confirm that they hit their assigned target within 500 feet and that the map shared with the American people after the bombing mission showed the intended target miles away from where the bomb detonated. In fact, had the intended target been hit, the area where I'm standing and the shipyard behind me would have been destroyed. That mysterious map that was once at the National Archives is shown in the book Atomic Bomb Secrets. This picture of the map, unfortunately, is all that we have, because the original map, according to the National Archives, has been stolen or is lost. In fact, the archives offers a reward for anyone that can return that original map. This map that was at the archives highlights that there was another map that pilot Charles Sweeney and team, in order for them to hit their target within 500 feet, had a map showing Urakami Cathedral as the aiming point. While the case for the peace statue as the exact hypocenter location is explained in the book Atomic Bomb Secrets, the fact is clear that the atomic bomb was detonated over the center of Christianity in Japan and some 3 miles from the Mitsubishi Naval Shipyard. Oppenheimer and others involved in the atomic bomb program realized that they were deceived regarding when and how the atomic bombs would be used, as both bombs primarily targeted civilians. After the bomb had dropped, Brotherhood of Death agents launched a propaganda campaign to suppress the Nagasaki truth. Part of their campaign focused the public's attention on the Los Alamos Target Committee as being responsible for making the Nagasaki targeting decisions. J. Robert Oppenheimer, known as the father of the atomic bomb, was the scientific leader of the Manhattan Project and the leader of the Los Alamos Target Committee. He revealed he never recommended Nagasaki as a target. Instead, Oppenheimer, as well as many others who worked without knowledge of the Brotherhood of Death and their plan to destroy Christianity, was genuinely surprised when he learned that Nagasaki was where the Fat Man bomb had been detonated. Speaking to President Truman after Nagasaki was destroyed, Oppenheimer told him, quote, "Mr. President, I feel I have blood on my hands," end quote. With Oppenheimer expressing shock about Nagasaki, Edwin Reischauer, a U.S. Army intelligence expert on Japan serving on Oppenheimer's team, was also falsely credited with having a deciding role in selecting Nagasaki. However, as the handcuffs of secrecy were eventually removed after the war, Reischauer revealed in his autobiography, as did General Leslie M. Groves in his book, that it was Secretary of War Henry Louis Simpson who made the decision to destroy Nagasaki. Simpson said to General Groves, "This is a question I am settling myself. The historical record is crystal clear. Neither Oppenheimer, Reischauer, or General Groves selected Nagasaki as a primary or secondary target." As both hoped and intended by the Brotherhood of Death, the false target selection attribution served to draw attention away from the fact that a high-level Brotherhood member selected Nagasaki. The following is the organization chart created by General Groves and published in his book, Now It Can Be Told. His version has the label Top Policy Group. The addition of Brotherhood of Death is included to show who the top policy group really served. Harry S. Truman was both a high-ranking Freemason and the 33rd President of the United States. Henry Wallace was also a high-ranking Freemason and the 33rd Vice President of the United States. Together with Wiseman Bernard Baruch and Bonesman Secretary of War Henry Stimson, the Brotherhood of Death had a lockhold on the atomic bomb chain of command. William Lawrence would write after Nagasaki was destroyed, quote, "Destiny chose Nagasaki as the ultimate target," end quote. His choice of the word destiny is highly significant because in the Brotherhood of Death religion, destiny is used in literature to communicate among insiders their active role and involvement. The Brotherhood of Death worked to guarantee the Japanese leadership could not promptly surrender after the August 6th atomic bomb mission. On August 7th, Freemason General Curtis LeMay launched 152 B-29s, and on August 8th, another 375 B-29s to firebomb Japanese cities. The required gathering of top advisors for the emperor eventually assembled on August 10th, and the cabinet drafted an imperial rescript ending the war. On August 15th, the emperor announced Japan's defeat and surrender. Well-informed U.S. military leaders knew the atomic bombs were not necessary to end the war. Admiral William D. Leahy was one of the many Americans who was strong in his condemnation of the use of atomic weapons, stating, quote, "Bomb is the wrong word to use for this new weapon. It is not a bomb. It is not an explosive. It is a poisonous thing that kills people by its deadly radioactive reaction more than by the explosive force it develops." My own feeling is that in being the first to use it, we had adopted an ethical standard common to barbarians of the Dark Ages. I was not taught to make war in that fashion, and wars cannot be won by destroying women and children. End quote. As difficult as it is for many to hear, the atomic bombs were not needed to end the Second World War, or save the lives of American soldiers, including Norman Bissett, who was at Hiroshima on August 6, 1945, and died 13 days later from radiation sickness. Instead, they were deployed to uproot Japanese Christianity and help advance the Brotherhood of Death plans for a new world order. I am showing the 1909 Hammerhead crane. This is a smoking gun regarding the truth of really what happened with the atomic bombs in Japan. The 1909 Mitsubishi Hammerhead crane was undamaged by the atomic bomb and is still in operation. The crane serves as powerful physical evidence that the atomic bomb detonated miles from Nagasaki's most important military target. Another prime example is the brick 1898 Shiro Kan or Mitsubishi Museum building, which was not damaged by the atomic bomb. The atomic peace flame is to be kept lit until all atomic weapons have been eliminated from the planet. The peace flame also has a hidden message. In the belief system of the Brotherhood of Death, the flame represents that man, through secret knowledge, can become a god. I realize this sounds unusual at first, but when you realize that in their belief system, this is the flame of Prometheus, this is the flame that goes back to the ancient mystery religions, and this flame represents seeking knowledge, and that through knowledge man then moves up and eventually becomes illuminated and is a man god. This is a belief that was shared by many people throughout history. The pharaohs of ancient Egypt are prime examples, and in that belief system it really didn't matter too much what you did to other people. What really mattered was at the end of your life how much wealth and power that you accumulated, and then you would put that wealth and power in a triangle or pyramid structure, be buried with it, and take it off to the next life for use there. That's why you will see many of the symbols from ancient Egypt in secret societies such as Freemasonry and here in monuments at the Hiroshima Atomic Bomb Museum, as well as at Nagasaki at the Atomic Bomb Museum and Peace Park in that city. When you understand what these symbols mean, simple things like the peace flame can take on an entirely new meaning. The official Nagasaki Atomic Bomb Ground Zero is shown by the Black Column Monument, which is in the center of rings or a target bullseye. Extremely noteworthy is the Urakami Cathedral surviving statues, which are also within the target bullseye rings. The Nagasaki Ground Zero Monument communicates a powerful hidden message. Specifically, Nagasaki was hit with an atomic bomb to destroy the center of Christianity in Japan, not the military facility that was located some 3 miles to the south of where the bomb actually detonated. When propaganda failed and the truth started to leak out, assassination teams went to work. 2 highly classified programs, Alsos Mission and Operation Bloodstone, were revealed during the 1976 Church Committee Senate investigation. Colonel Boris Pash was the Chief Manhattan Project counterintelligence officer in charge of both Alsos Mission and Operation Bloodstone. He was questioned about unsanctioned killings during one of the rare times that Brotherhood of Death agents lost control of a congressional investigation. The damage done to the Brotherhood by the Church Committee was so great that it resulted in Freemason President Gerald Ford authorizing the immediate reassignment of Skull and Bones member George H.W. Bush from his position as the chief of the U.S. Liaison Office in the People's Republic of China to lead the CIA. Bush was tasked with regaining control of the situation for the Brotherhood of Death. Historians in the service of the Brotherhood of Death want Pash's work kept unknown for many reasons. Pash was a key person in charge of silencing people who revealed Brotherhood of Death secrets. The assassination program he led, Operation Bloodstone, eliminated uncooperative scientists and other credible people who could expose secrets, including the plan to destroy Christianity in Japan. A 5-person Operation Bloodstone cleaner team, a group of assassins assigned to suppress evidence, was called PB7. Although many insiders deemed problematic by the Brotherhood of Death were permanently silenced, often character assassination was their ideal way of removing people from prominent positions. One of Pash's most famous character assassinations was that of J. Robert Oppenheimer, when he was accused of being a communist sympathizer. Author Christopher Simpson noted it was Colonel Pash's testimony that helped seal the fate of Oppenheimer in the well-known 1954 security case. And while the crimes of the Japanese imperial military and other terrible events of World War II have been popularized in movies, books, and computer games, it is a strange fact that until recently no movie, play, story, book, or video game about the Second World War has ever featured this age-defining act of cowardice, a crushing of a people already broken to begin with. It has been said that the greatest trick that the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he did not exist. The real question is, now that we know true organized evil exists, what are we willing to do about it? God is trying to save us from future nuclear and other horrors. Of all the apparitions with matter appearing miraculously and authenticated by the Catholic Church, it is in Akita, Japan, that we find the Blessed Virgin crying out her warning for humanity over 100 times. The message of Akita to help us amend our lives is the message of Fatima. Our Lady of Akita's tears are because Mary sees the children of the world increasingly consumed by Satan and his helpers in death. As people increasingly come to understand Akita, they will come to realize the direct connection to the atomic bombings and the tears of Akira are a warning not only for the people of Japan, but for the people of the world. We can turn the tears of a mother into joy by doing what she asks us to do, to love God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. After learning the secret of Nagasaki, of the mindless slaughter of innocent people, and that the atomic bombs were used to advance a one-world government, we have a choice. On one hand, we could go about our lives, forget the past, and hope that another Nagasaki, Hiroshima, or other Holocaust would never again occur. Or we could choose the courageous path. We could confront the powers of darkness, prevent secret society members from holding positions in government, and defeat the Brotherhood of Death so that our children and grandchildren can live in a world with peace and prosperity beyond our wildest imaginations. Nagasaki itself is proof. Just as Jesus rose from the cross, Nagasaki rose from the ashes and is now thriving once more. People in the United States and other Western countries are sometimes surprised to learn that while Christians were persecuted in Japan up to the 19th century, before World War II, Japan was a country of religious freedom with multiple Christian prime ministers. To this day, Japan has had 8 Christian prime ministers, and despite the near total destruction of the faith by the atomic bomb, Christianity is recovering. The current Christian population in Japan is estimated to be 3 million people. The Native Americans have a saying, "The world is not ours, we are merely borrowing it from our children." By learning the secret of Nagasaki, we learn how corrupt politicians' lies and propaganda, fed to us by a biased media, can make us yearn for the destruction of another human being. We recognize deep down that this is wrong and should not be tolerated. We know that if we can learn to value all human life, perhaps our children can too. The key message of this documentary and the Teach Peace Foundation is that we should treat everyone, especially those who disagree with us, as loved members of our family. With the knowledge of what really happened, we can better work to help prevent nuclear weapons from being used in the future.
It's a beautiful world.